What's going on, guys? This is Raymond Ironbody McKinney, and today I want to talk about experiencing at least one manifestation of yours that you know, hey, I manifested that. Now, I don't care how relatively big or small that was. As long as you experienced something that you know, oh, I definitely manifested that, no doubt. When you know that was what you manifested, what you claimed to be as your manifestation. And it seems like after that, seems like if you're saying, well, manifesting doesn't seem to be working for me anymore. Remind yourself, when you experience those experiences based off of your imagination, that imaginal experience creates a physical experience. That's all the evidence you need, guys. That's all the proof you need. When you realize you've experienced those subtle manifestations, whether it's like, you imagine having a conversation with a close friend or family member, and then they show up physically. Whether you talk to them in your imagination, then you end up going to the grocery store, you find them there. Guys, it's no coincidence that I promise you guys, I'm sure everyone in the world has experienced at least one time where they've ended up in a so-called coincidence or a synchronistic moment like that. And then people just write off as would have happened anyway. Because really, guys, we've got a faulty memory, and we just don't really we don't really acknowledge, as humans, yes, we don't acknowledge really that, wow, I imagined that, and then it showed up physically. Or just things like that. Because using your imagination is the simplest thing in the world. Let me word it differently. Imagination, play with your imagination is really, there's no effort. It's just play, guys. It's playing with your imagination. Probably one of my favorites, and one of the most effective for me that seems to be effective, is having an inner conversation with someone in my head. I talk to someone subjectively in my head. And then I'll maybe loop in a back and forth conversation with them, hearing them say something about me, and then they say something like, "Congratulations, Raymond," or "Wow, Raymond, I'm so proud of you for accomplishing this or that." And then I reply with, "Thank you, that really means a lot to me." Or if it's a conversation that feels so natural to you, and just loop it a couple times just to make it really saturate. You will experience it in physical form. Now, also, I think of states of consciousness. I'm literally talking about, I'm out here walking with my dogs, Ginger and Pepper. I'm in the state of walking the dog. I'm in the state of being a dog walker. Versus, say, like if I'm at my job, I'd be an employee. I'd be in the state of being an employee. Those are states of consciousness. I'm completely in a different state of consciousness. In a different state, but it's the same consciousness. And Max Planck, the German physicist who's devoted his whole life to science. And I saw one quote where he talked about that no one would have ever thought I was fantasizing over things. But he studied clear-headed science. I'm guessing several years of devoting his time to science. He said there's no matter as such. Einstein said there's no matter as such. Everything in this world, you see, guys, is energy. Is compressed energy made to look physical. Einstein said that it comes down to, he had one quote saying it was just, it's sound and light. That, or something like that, but basically, and then Planck also said, we must assume a force, which I consider consciousness. We must assume that consciousness is behind the matrix, this physical matter. And consciousness, from my perspective, it's in everything. I'm sure I think there's scientists talking about that our world is more alive than we really think it is. It's not this material, dead world. It's not any of that, guys. We must assume that consciousness is activating this physical reality. Whether we're in consciousness in imagination or when we're talking to someone. We're conscious in both worlds, guys. Consciousness is the only reality. And there's plenty of science. I'm looking up with all the science. And they're verifying what Neville Goddard's saying. So, yeah, and again, like I said, if Neville Goddard, I only share people like Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy. If they don't resonate with you, if you think they're frauds, that's fine. This video is not for you guys. My channel is not for those who, I should say, my channel is out there if you're interested in it. If you don't believe a word I say, that's fine too, guys. I don't expect anyone to believe what I'm saying on here. I'm not expecting to persuade you that you got to believe me, because that's force, and that creates tension, and I don't want tension, because I want to live life with ease. I want to live life with mental ease. To live in a state of relaxation, even in seeming chaos or seeming stressful situations. Training myself to live peacefully, to mentally live peacefully. So, again, we must assume consciousness, which is really us, a collective consciousness. We must assume the state desired. And then you'll move into that state of consciousness. Because think of it, guys, this is another thing too that many don't really think about. When you imagine a state, like saying you imagine going to your job or something, we don't think about those things, but when we unconsciously imagine that. Imagine going to our job. Because when we go to a place in time and space, say like our job, we must imagine it. Even if it's unconscious, guys. I'm out here with the dogs walking. Say like I go to my job. I unconsciously or consciously imagine I'm already there. And then, yeah, I'm there. Because my physical body is not independent of itself. With my imagination, my body must respond to my imagination. I cannot move a finger without the desire to move it, without imagining myself moving it. So, yeah, assume the state desired. Don't limit yourself to these people, like, when people talk about massive action. I feel like action in that sense sounds like a violent term, where it makes it sound like people have to climb a mountain. And I don't really like to use the word action in the way where it sounds like you have to take this violent approach to life to force things to happen. Because that's not my style, guys. I'm sure some people like to have that hustle mentality. That's fine. I'm not... On this channel, I like to talk about gently redirecting yourself. To gently redirect your assumptions. Because the primary action of all things, guys, is our inner dominant assumptions. Our state of consciousness determines our physical actions. So don't feel like, again, from my perspective, when you hear the term action, that doesn't mean go climb a mountain kind of mentality. It just means shift into a different state of consciousness. Shift to a different state of consciousness. And this is and I make this as gentle and make it sound as gentle as possible. Redirect your inner assumptions. Redirect your thoughts through your assumptions. And you'll notice your behaviors and physical actions will change. And people around you will respond to those those behaviors of yours based off of your inner dominant assumptions. Your inner dominant assumptions can change, guys. This world is made of collective assumptions. It's all it is. We all, though things, like when we look at the same tree, we all see that tree differently because we assume it differently. Though it's maybe subtly similar, everything, guys. Or like you're with your partner of some kind. Though you see each other, you perceive each other differently. Even if it's so subtle, your inner dominant assumptions mold and shapes your reality. So, again, just to clear it up, guys, in summary, and make it as simple as possible, it's just simply assume. Or just have that inner conversation. Like, from my perspective, from my experience, take it or leave it. I think the best approach is to have that inner conversation with someone that you deeply desire and that you feel whole within yourself. Not to be attached to the person or this thing, but just to feel whole in yourself, and then have that inner conversation. You're basically having a subjective conversation with yourself. And then that person or that thing reflects in your objective reality. And it's so beautiful. Guys, it's such a beautiful thing that really, when you really get this. Maybe if you have to watch this video a couple times over to really get what I'm saying. Or what Neville's saying. Or any of these people. I'm still learning, guys. I'm one of those people. It's just like when I experience those imaginal acts. It's just like I still have a tendency sometimes thinking, is it going to happen? I can't go in that state, guys. Rather than trying to become attached to this scene, I'm just going to like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to focus on other aspects of my life, and this scene, the seeds already planted. It will in time show up. I don't care what day or when it'll show up, but I know it's going to show up. If I hold faithful to it. And faith, faith is kind of, when you move from faith to deep knowing that, oh, I know how this game works. This game of life works. It's a mind game. You have a knowing that things are working in your favor rather than faithfully thinking that it's going to work. You know it's going to work. If you hold to the assumption, that's when it manifests. So I hope this video helps. It's a little bit of a longer video, but I just wanted to really get some pretty good points out. And just to realize that we are co-creators we are participating in a collective universe. That's how I like to look at it, rather than look at it as like, well, I'm the only person that exists and everyone else is an illusion. I don't like to look at it like that, guys. I don't like to look at it as an illusion. I don't like to look at it as a simulation. I like to look at it as a shared collective experience. That everyone and everything, I see everything as real, guys. Because you're putting your attention and focus into those things. Yes. Everything's real. When you're conscious of it. It's a shared collective real experience. The dream, it's a dream within a dream within a dream. An eternal adventure. And I know during this lifetime, this is not the only thing. So I hope this video helps. God bless you all, and happy manifesting.